Hello and welcome to the Clashing of Steel. So today I am testing out Phalanx in the public test servers. And as you can see, I'm starting off with the pikemen. The first part is to see if the pikes do any reasonable friendly fire. This way they don't. When they're pushing through the back of a unit, they don't seem to do any friendly fire. Also when they're pulling back. So I asked Vinagro to charge my archers here. I pretty much am trying to line them perfectly between the pikes. So the charge comes in and actually throws some of my pikemen away as well. Archers did take some damage from the charge, but they also are taking damage from trying to move through the pikes. So pikes still do some type of damage in Phalanx. But not when you're moving straight through them. There's also one other option to move through them, but I'm gonna show that a bit later. So archers actually took a lot of damage after the charge. Here you're going to see a slightly similar effect with the pikes and pikes. I'm trying to walk my pikes a bit backwards, and I end up doing some friendly fire to my own pikemen with the pikemen. Yeah, sounds complicated. But you can see it really well. As my pikes keep turning and I'm trying to run through it, they do a lot of friendly fire. So there is no option to avoid it practically. But we can stack them and then use Phalanx, which is interesting. So here I am stacking them, and I will use Phalanx in, well, now. So this Phalanx actually doesn't damage me. It appears that the Phalanxes count each other as inside them with their backs, towards which they don't seem to do any friendly fire. I'm also using the Phalanx thrust to do some extra damage, but as you can see, the Phalanx is rather brutal. This stacking will make them much more vulnerable for archer fire, but then again it might make them a lot more efficient at clearing certain bottlenecks. Well, this is the next test. Here I'm stacking the spear units, seeing how their Phalanx works. The main focus again is to use the Phalanx, to test its friendly fire. At first it's nothing special, I go in, pop some skills, and well, pull back. So stacking them might not be the best solution. It appears I am inflicting more damage than usually, but still controlling it as they are stacked is not a great option. Just to be sure, I'm also going to try and push the cavalry through my spear line to see if they can do any damage, or any impact damage for that matter, by just charging through the line. And as it appears, the answer is no. But this can also be a concern. Let's say there is Commander Sulla fighting against Germanicus. They're fighting each other, and of course Sulla will be losing. And now that the spears have come, they can push through Sulla's units to support their team member, and push into Germanicus and let the Sulla escape freely. So to say, switching out friendly units. Well, now I'm showing one of my biggest concerns. The archers are going to be in front of the spearmen, and they will be taking in the charge from the cavalry. Then they're gonna run through the spears, and the spears will push towards the cavalry. So it's going to happen here. Charge is rather decent, seeing that I still took it in from the front. Now I'm ordering both of my units to move through each other. Because of the removed friendly fire from the Phalanx, spear Phalanx, my archers could push through with minimal losses, and the spears actually pretty much destroyed the cavalry. The losses in numbers are just huge. The cavalry lost over 20 soldiers, and the archers lost just 7. Okay, so this was just a single unit after a single unit. Let's try it stacked as well. Here, the archers and cavalry both are stacked. Well, the cavalry is gonna come in rather heavily. That's a quite long charge, and they did a lot of impact damage. Now I'm going to use my spears to walk through them, and archers to try and walk through the spears. The overall losses are just retarded. There is no other word for that. As it appears, my units are on low health, but look at those numbers. I have 50 and 32 archers alive. And what does the cavalry have? Maybe around 40 soldiers, if they're lucky. If there would have been friendly fire, archers would have lost a lot more soldiers. By my personal opinion, this feels kinda like a really dumb joke. There is no logical balance behind this change. I can understand testing it in the public test servers, but implementing it will be practically like a joke. Only way I could see this thing work would be if the spearmen were like paper. Because spearmen in their right hands are really strong. Most of the victory is based upon teamwork in this game. How well do you work with your team, how are you supporting them, and so. This would just make it too easy to support your friendly ranged units. You could defend them in so many ways, they don't have to move, or if they want they can move through you. There's actually one other thing I want to show before I head over to the worst possible scenario. This is the same clip that was running 20 seconds ago, maybe less. Here you can see that I'm using Phalanx with my spear and pikemen. Pikemen are standing still and the spears can walk through it, as long as they are reversing through it with their backs facing the pikes. This means that pikes can support friendly engaged melee units from behind, because they won't do nearly any damage towards them. If I remember correctly, pikes actually damaged everything before. Or at least they did the last time I played them. Okay, so now to the worst possible scenarios. This first one is Blowing without vengeance. This is like, let's say, Scipio or Sulla is coming after you. So I just popped a couple of skills. I'm pushing through, I'm gonna shield bash, and I'm gonna pull back. Nothing special about that. Now I'm going to switch the units. I'm switching them up, pulling one back and switching in another one. Just to bash again. There is nothing special about this, it is just brutal. I can just switch up, taking minimal losses to both troops. Pushing in, pulling back, pushing in, pulling back. And because I do so, the opponents also have to switch targets. Otherwise they are focusing the target that is not engaged with them, and because of that will be taking more damage from the opponents. Okay, this is pretty straightforward with practically no vengeance. That was also a waste of troops, because those units were blobbed, they were stacked and they were just suffering many casualties. So here I'm going to be doing the same thing, but the opponents are going to use vengeance and they're not going to be forcing into my units with those all three of his troops. I do my bash, I switch back in and I bash once again. The damage is just brutal. And it's not like the bash has a long cooldown, 15 seconds, come on. I'm just switching my units and pretty much with 2 shield bashes I destroyed my opponents. This is what the removed friendly fire from Phalanx can make spearmen do. Okay, with Leonidas it's a special case because of the shield bash. But still, switching up the engaged units can throw some opponents off guard. And now comes the stacked vengeance. Many troops are moving in and, well, they're going to use the vengeance anyway, and the spear Phalanx is gonna do a lot. I'm still going to use the shield bash, because Leonidas is strong as it is, but I just want to show how mindless this thing can be, if there is no friendly fire. This was just the change I mostly feared, and I was really surprised how well this thing can work. Even with those archers back where the cavalry tried to destroy them, the spears just pushed through them. Personally, I hope this change will never take place, because balancing it out, considering teamwork and unit balances, this is just way too much. It's not like the Phalanx has a 20-second cooldown or 20-second duration that we really need this change. This is just my opinion and the overall idea I got from testing it out. I have to say I was overwhelmed by these changes, and they are definitely too much for this game. Too much for the balance of teamwork and the balance of units. I do not know what the developers planned, but I hope this is not one of those things. Even from the perspective of the Vinagro, who helped me make these videos, this is just way too much. There still needs to be some form of balance, because some of these situations are just retarded. Also, big thanks to him for helping me make these videos, and hopefully this is one of those changes that won't take place. Most other changes seem to be reasonable, but this is just way too much. I understand that the game is still in the beta, but there needs to be some form of balance, and hopefully, as I said before, hopefully this won't be implemented. Anyways, don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching.